In rural Arkansas, along a stretch of Highway 7 near the Ozark National Forest, there's a known dead zone, a 5-mile area where no cell service exists. Locals warn travelers to avoid stopping there at night. But here's the part that creeps people out. There's a single payphone at the edge of a rest area, still fully functional. It's not connected to any visible power line, and no service provider claims ownership. People who've tried it say it works, but only one way. You can make calls from it, and they'll go through, often with perfect clarity, even when every other phone nearby shows no signal. But when you call someone, the caller ID doesn't show your number. It shows your name, just your name, even if your number isn't listed, and several people have reported getting a call back a few minutes later from that same payphone. No one ever answers, just static and breathing, and sometimes, very faintly, your own voice, repeating the last thing you said.
This story was sent in by a woman named Sherry, who's worked the overnight shift at a small-town diner for years. She said after this night she started refusing to serve table 4, even when it was the only one open. I've worked the graveyard shift at Benny's Diner for 11 years. It's one of those old-school places off a 2-lane highway outside Boonville. Open 24/7. Always smells like burnt coffee. Regulars come and go, but truckers are the main crowd after dark. There's one in particular I remember. Tall guy, gray beard, always wore a brown jacket and a beat-up black cap with some trucking company logo. Never talked much. Just came in, sat down at seat 4, ordered the same thing every single time. Eggs over easy, bacon, white toast, black coffee. What was strange was he'd always leave before the food hit the table. Every single time. I'd walk over with the plate and he'd already be gone. No goodbye, no sound of the bell over the door. Nothing. And every time he'd leave exact change, with a $5 tip folded under the napkin. Neat, crisp, like it came straight from the bank. The other waitresses joked that he was a ghost. I didn't laugh, it just felt wrong. I tried asking him once where he was headed, if he was running late, why he never stayed. He just gave me a half smile and said, "I've already had my fill." Then he nodded toward the window and added, "Some things get stuck." Seat 4's just habit. After that, I stopped trying. He showed up like clockwork, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, around 3 a.m. on the dot until last Thursday. That night, I looked at the clock. 3 o'clock came and went. No truck, no seat 4. It bothered me more than I expected. I found myself checking the window over and over, listening for the sound of brakes. Nothing. At 3:17, I looked over, and I swear to God, there was a bill and a tip sitting on table 4. The same order slip tucked under the napkin. Eggs, bacon, toast, coffee, $8.62 with tax. $5 tip folded under the exact change, but I hadn't seen anyone come in. I checked with Gary, the line cook. He hadn't taken an order. No bell rang on the door. The parking lot was empty except for a delivery van that had been there since midnight. I stood there, staring at the table, trying to convince myself I just missed him. But when I went to grab the slip, something stopped me. There was a message on the back. "Thanks for always remembering. You're the only one who did." It was written in the same neat handwriting I'd seen for years. Only now, the ink looked faded. Old, like it had been written a long time ago. I took the check and put it in my apron. I didn't say anything to anyone. That morning, when my shift ended, I looked up the trucking company from his hat. They'd gone out of business 8 years ago. I tried to find a name, a match, anything. Eventually, I found a small article from 2015. A fatal accident on Highway 23. Ice storm. A semi jackknifed and rolled into a ravine. The driver died at the scene. The attached photo was grainy, small, but it was him. Same beard, same hat. The article said the wreck happened at 2:48 a.m. He had been on his way to Benny's. I haven't seen him since that night. But just last week, a new guy came in, younger, same eyes, same quiet smile. He sat at seat 4 and didn't order anything. Just left a napkin on the table with one word written on it. Sorry, this story was sent to me by a guy named Ken. He said it started with a flickering porch light and ended with something he still can't explain. I moved into the house at the end of a dead-end road about a year ago. Quiet neighborhood, small town, not much happening after dark. Just what I needed after a rough few years. The house across from mine was almost identical to mine, except older and kind of sagging in the middle. I never met the neighbor. Their mailbox said Hanson, and there was an old Ford in the driveway with flat tires and leaves piled around it. What caught my eye first was the porch light. It flickered, but not like a bulb going out. It would blink, pause, blink again, in a pattern, almost rhythmic, like a signal. I noticed it on my second night there, around 11 p.m. At first, I thought maybe it was on a faulty motion sensor, but it did the same thing the next night, same time, same pattern. I even recorded it on my phone. When I looked back at the video, the pattern became clear. 3 quick blinks, 1 long, pause, 2 short, 1 long, over and over. I Googled Morse code. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but it looked close. After a few days, I got curious enough to knock on the door. No one answered. The next day, I asked one of the neighbors down the street. "Oh, the Hanson house?" she said. "That place has been empty for years." I told her about the porch light. She looked at me like I'd lost it. "There's no light on that porch," she said. "Never has been." That night, I watched it again, same pattern, same rhythm. But this time, it stopped right after I opened the front door to look across the street, like it was reacting. The next morning, I crossed the road to take a look in the daylight. The bulb on the Hanson porch was missing, just an empty socket. I went back to check my phone recordings. Every video I'd taken, gone. Just black screens where the light should have been. That night, I sat in the dark at my front window, notebook in hand, and tried to write down the blinking pattern as it played out. I only got halfway through when the blinking stopped cold. Then the house went dark. Not just the porch, every window. That was the first time I felt scared. The next night, something changed. My porch light, brand new, installed by me, started flickering. Same pattern, 3 quick, 1 long, pause, 2 short, 1 long. I killed the switch, it kept flickering. I pulled the bulb, it still flickered. I went out with a stepladder and physically disconnected the wiring. I'm not an electrician, but I know enough to tell when something's not plugged in. The light still pulsed, soft, steady, like nothing had changed. The next day, I bought floodlights, motion detectors, solar lights for the driveway, anything to make my property feel lit up and safe. But every night at exactly 11 o'clock, only one light ever turned on. The porch light, same rhythm, same pulse. I started dreaming about it. Blinks behind my eyes, patterns I couldn't shake. One night, I woke up with a pen in my hand and my arm covered in dashes and dots, like I'd tried to write the code on myself. The night after that, I stayed up until 3 a.m. watching. The light blinked 3 times, then stopped. For 5 full minutes, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the Hanson porch light came back on. Only now, it wasn't blinking. It was solid. Someone was standing behind the screen door, just a silhouette. Tall, motionless, watching. I didn't move. The figure raised one hand. Then the light blinked once, twice. Then the entire house went black again. That was 4 nights ago. Since then, I've been sleeping with every light in the house on. But last night, all of them turned off at once. And my porch light? It came back on, blinking. Only this time, the rhythm was different. I looked it up. Morse code. Look behind you. This one came from a guy named Jane, who works at a used car lot in northern Arkansas. He said he only lasted one more week after what he found inside the back of a trade-in. I work at a used car lot just off the highway in Mountain View, nothing fancy. Old pickups, trade-ins, salvage titles we shine up to make presentable. Most of the time it's just oil changes and making sure nobody leaves with a lemon. About 2 months ago, we got a trade-in from a guy who looked like he hadn't slept in days. Early 30s, shaky hands, said he just needed cash fast. It was an older F-150, blue, with one of those old canvas-style bed covers snapped tight over the top. Didn't think much of it at first. He barely said a word, signed the paperwork, and left without taking the check. Just walked off down the road. We pulled the truck into the bay and started our usual routine. Fluids, brakes, tires. Then it came time to check the bed. The cover was stiff, like it hadn't been opened in years. We had to work the snaps free, one at a time. Dust billowed out when we lifted it. Underneath, there wasn't much. Just a warped plastic toolbox, an old bungee cord, a few soda cans, and a crumpled flyer wedged into the back corner near the cab window. I picked it up. At first glance, it looked like a missing person poster. Weathered, faded, folded. A black and white photo of a guy standing by a lake. Short hair, t-shirt, neutral expression. I almost tossed it aside. Then I looked again. It was me. My name, my face, my exact outfit from that day, down to the patch on my shop shirt. The bottom said, "Missing. Last seen this morning outside Mountain View, AR, if you have information, call," and then the rest was torn. I stood there frozen. One of the guys asked what I found. I said, "Nothing," and shoved the paper into my pocket. For the rest of the day, I couldn't focus. I kept checking my reflection, watching security cameras, looking at the truck. I convinced myself it was a prank. Someone screwing with me. But the guy who traded it in, he'd written J. Phelps on the title transfer. That's my middle name and my mother's maiden name. I checked the DMV records for the truck. It had no history, registered in Arkansas last week. Before that, no data, no VIN tracking, nothing. When I got home that night, I unfolded the flyer again. It was darker now, more smudged, like it had changed somehow since I last looked. And the photo? My eyes weren't looking at the camera anymore. They were looking to the side, like I was watching something coming. I tried to show my roommate, but when I pulled it out, it was blank. Just a sheet of paper. Faint stain where the photo used to be. No name, no number, just a smudge. My roommate laughed it off. That night, I had a dream. I was in the truck bed. Canvas sealed over the top. Couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Outside, someone was circling the truck. Each time they passed the rear window, they got a little closer. Then I heard a voice, clear as day. "We've already listed you. Why'd you open it?" I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. Next morning, the truck was gone. I ran into work ready to lose it, thinking someone stole it or we moved it to the other lot, but nobody touched it. We checked the camera footage. From midnight to 4 a.m., the truck just sat there. At 4:03 a.m., the feed cut out. When it came back, the truck was gone. No engine sound, no headlights, no movement, just gone. A week later, we found it. Parked behind the shop, like it had never left, no keys in the ignition, no signs of forced entry. And in the bed? The flyer was back, but this time, the photo was different. Still me, but I was facing away, walking into woods I didn't recognize. and under my name was a new line, believed to be at peace. Do not search. I haven't touched the truck since, and every time I pass it, I swear I hear something shift under the tarp, like someone waiting for me to look again.